This is a dung beetle, which is native to this area. Why is this relevant? If you don't know, go watch Tough to Be a Buck. Hello, my fellow Disney fans. I am here in Colorado, as you can maybe tell by some of the mountains, and I am at the Fluorescent Fossil Beds National Monument, which is a pretty cool place, especially right now. So here we have a petrified tree. This is a petrified redwood. Basically, 34 million years ago, because I just learned about this, this area was actually completely different. So it was covered in redwoods, there were lots of bugs and there were wildlife and everything. And there was a volcano. Don't actually know where that was, but it was somewhere around here nearby. It continuously covered the area in ash and pumice and such. And then at one point, 34 million years ago, there was a massive sort of mudslide that came down from the volcano into this whole area and covered these trees and plants and animals and insects with the pumice and the ash, and that preserved them. And then on top of that, there was another one that prevented a river from flowing, so it created a lake in here. And when that lake was created, a bunch of the ash would settle to the bottom of the lake, and it continued to fossilize things here. So that's your history lesson on the fluorescent fossil beds here in Colorado, but that's not the entirety of the story. But I bet you guys are wondering, Lizzie, what in the world do petrified trees have to do with Disney? And the answer is, actually, there's a pretty good story. To give you a short version of a very, very long story, there's a petrified tree, a redwood specimen just like these, at Disneyland. And there's a plaque and everything, and it reads from Pike's National Forest, I believe. And it says from Mrs. Walt Disney and all this kind of stuff, and there's this whole big legend about how they came to get it. Video on Walt Disney and the fossilized trees, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, our story kind of starts with in '56 when a gentleman pulled up. Now, we didn't have the new visitor center then. It was just kind of the older, almost rustic cabin that was the visitor center then. And it was privately owned. It was called Pike Petrified Forest then. And I don't necessarily think it was a limousine, but the young kid called it a limousine probably because he'd never seen a big stretched car before. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman gets out and he asks him if he would sell him one of their trees. So of course the kid grabs a chunk of our petrified redwood and says, sure, for $20 or so you can have this. Now the gentleman says, of course, no, you don't understand. I don't want a piece of wood. I want a whole tree. I want one of your stumps. So he had to go get his boss, and then they struck up a deal. I believe it's for $1,800. And he bought the stump they did. They cut it in half, and he brought about a 3040 style wrecker truck. And that's what they grabbed it out of there to put it onto a flatbed. Now, I used to tell this story in the amphitheater because that's where that stump was.
Oh.
So if you walk over there where the triple stump is at, that little hill ridge right there, that's where that stump was. Okay. And I always tell folks there's no worries because you can still see that stump now. It's just in Anaheim, California.
Yeah.
Because the gentleman who came here was building a park in Anaheim. And then the light would come on and they would figure out that it's actually in Disneyland. And that gentleman was Walt Disney.
There you go. Okay, everyone, so based on what I just learned, I'm standing where the tree stump was. So this is right here in between this big one where we were filming earlier, we were filming over here, and then these over here, which are called the ancient clones. They're made from one tree, they have one ancestor. In between them here on this little platform, which is now a stage, is where Walt Disney found the tree that he wanted that is now at Disneyland. I'm here now, exactly 60 years later, and that's pretty great. I always forget why we do this to ourselves.
Yeah, I don't really know. It always seems to be your idea.
Yeah, you're kind of right.
Why are we doing this? Oh.
Oh, really? So let me see. How did Walt Disney come to get a petrified tree at Disneyland?